Hello everybody, I hope you're having a lovely day. My name is Jana. I am the owner of Empower Yoga and I wanted to talk to you about trauma and meditation and why I think it's such an important part in healing trauma. So let's get right into it. When I see clients, that's one of the first things I advise them is meditate. Even if it's only 2 minutes a day, it doesn't matter. If it's very short, just do whatever you can and go from there. The next thing that I forgot to mention earlier now is create a space for yourself. Create a space where you feel safe, where you feel happy, where you have things around you that lift you up. If it's pictures, great. If it's flowers like in the background or candles, anything that makes you happy in a way. This is the perfect spot for meditating, but you can do it anywhere. It doesn't matter. You don't need that space, but this space will help. So let's get into how to meditate. And so many people will now roll their eyes and go, I can't meditate, I tried it. And that's what I hear a lot. And the great thing is you cannot not be able to meditate. And I think what people put the pressure on is they think you need to have a quiet mind. I don't believe that. I don't know, I've meditated a lot, my mind is never quiet. But what I teach my clients is a breath-focused meditation where you want to sit, you want to come into a seated position. Choose your position, can be cross-legged, can be on a little cushion, can be sitting upright on a chair, doesn't matter. Then you can bring your hands, just overlay them into your lap. And again, choose a position you're going to keep for the entire time you choose to meditate. Next is just sitting upright. Don't necessarily lean back. We want to sort of stay engaged in this sort of meditation. Closing your eyes and start focusing on your breath. Next, I will advise my clients to take a few deep inhalations. And with every exhale, we're letting go, we soften. We soften in the shoulders, soften your face. And again, on the next deep inhale, take all the air in, breathe, fill your lungs completely. Exhale, letting go again, dropping your shoulders, dropping even our ears, really relaxing, and then starting to breathe in a normal rhythm for you. When you breathe, start noticing how the air flows into your nostrils and follow the breath all the way into the lungs and back out. This is the main ingredient. You can sit there, you can set yourself a timer, and all you do is focus on the breath. Now a lot of people will go, but there's like a million things coming into my head. And that's exactly what we want. I don't know, but a lot of people think this is not meant to happen, but for me, that's exactly what we want, is we want all these thoughts popping into your head, and that's good. Because what you do is you just try and stay focused on the breath. And then you go and let them pass. And this is really important. We get attached to too many thoughts that we have, and a lot of them don't make any sense at all. They're just really very random. So this practice is all about letting these emotions not emotions, sorry, did a video about emotions earlier. And letting these thoughts pass through, being able to detach from them. And the more you do it, and then you think, maybe it gets more quiet the more I do it. No, it doesn't. For me, it's still very busy in my mind every time I do it. But it gives me the opportunity to look at it and think, wow, I'm not meant to be thinking. And look at all these thoughts coming in. I'm really trying to focus on my breath here, and look at all these random things that pop into my head. What this does is really, really powerful. It gives you a different perspective. It makes you realize that this is not what I'm actually wanting to do. Is thinking, I'm really trying and struggling, focusing on this breath, and I'm getting carried away. And then more thoughts come in, and your head might be racing. And this gives such great distance after a while to all these thoughts, which is really important. Trust me, when you really want to think something, you're able to do it. But our mind, especially after trauma, is popping out certain thoughts, and areas of our brain work overtime that try to protect us. So these areas of the brain where these new connections after trauma have been made, they work on overtime, and it pop out more and more thoughts that bring us in a state of fear. If we are able slowly to more and more detach from these thoughts, we can get more in control again. We really have to understand this is not something that we can just choose in the moment. This is really something that needs real practice. And you get better, even if you do just 2 minutes a day, and you just see all the stuff that keeps on popping in. And after a while, you notice as well, they're all about the same sort of things. And it's quite interesting. It's the way our brain the connections were made, and our brain got programmed in the past. But it's not actually what's going on in the present. And this is so, so important. And this is what I'm trying to explain and really get into. My clients is, you need to experience this and you need to practice this. This is one of the key things when it comes to trauma. Is being able to detach from these thoughts. These thoughts either keep you in the past, where something happened, or they're fear or worry about the future. And what they do is they take us out of the now. And trust me, you never quieten your mind. You will never get to that point. But where you will get to is having them running like the radio, where you go, this is a great song, I start moving to that, and the rest just flows past. Because the key thing is, every time we find ourselves in a spiral of just having a bad day, I'm not necessarily talking triggers here, but just having a bad day, it all starts with a thought. Then we attach to that thought. Then we start investigating. Then we go, oh yes. Then we dig up all the evidence. Oh yes, they said something too. And I wonder, what if this is going to happen? And so this thought suddenly becomes powerful. Before that, it was just a thought. But really, if we can come back to the moment, to the presence, those fears and worries don't need to be there. And the more you can practice this, the more you will be able to notice your triggers. Because that's what I found very difficult. And not that you're going to notice them in the moment necessarily. You might have a trigger and your brain goes its usual way and it releases all those hormones, and you go down that path of anxiety. Everybody experiences different, so I can't really go into too much detail here. But you run through the notions, but once you're out of that again, you can look back and you're able to see what it was. You're able to see the situation. You're able to detach from it. You get the ability to really analyze what happened. What somebody said. Was it a noise? What was it? Because at the beginning we can be so overwhelmed that we don't even know what was the trigger. But the more we become conscious in that way of our thoughts and what they do to us, the more we get back into control. And the more we're able, for example, with triggers, to realize, this was what was going on. And it is really, it becomes really very interesting. It became very interesting for me, where I suddenly noticed, and it was like somebody switched on a light and you go, this is what happened. I never realized I was triggered in that way, in that moment. I didn't even realize that was my sort of trigger thing. And that's when it becomes so great. This is meditation. Only try and do 2 minutes. Really, if you don't have the time at home and in your space, which we always have 2 minutes, just sit there, watch your breath, and notice all the thoughts floating through. Notice when you get carried away with one. Go, look, that one was about that. And after a while, you see a pattern there. And it's really interesting starting to get to know you. Or this is not really you. You're able to see that this is just a small part in your brain. This is your little alarm system going, I should have been wearing something else. What am I going to do for dinner? I'm not sure about what she's saying right now. And all sorts. Did I turn off the lights? I wonder if I locked the house. All these sort of random things that pop in. Really just watch them. It's so powerful, and I cannot stress enough. I've probably been repeating myself over and over here again, but this is so powerful, and it can make such a difference to your life. Not only with trauma, but with everything else as well. It's when you start catching yourself out and go, look at this. Yes, that was interesting how I got very upset about a certain comment or something, and how my mind turned it and moved on and just started creating its own life. I was watching a video the other day where it was explained nicely. It was an old yogi sitting there, and what he pointed it out, he says, it's all just a thought. It all starts with a thought. Everything in life starts with a thought. Everything we create. You have this thought, and what you need to be aware of is, don't let them out of the cage. Once you let them out, they have a life of their own, and they take you with it. So make sure that you choose your thoughts you go with wisely. And that as well comes down to practice. Practice noticing the thoughts, and then seeing which ones do I actually like to engage with. Am I going to engage with the one that is saying, oh my God, did I forget to lock the house? What if I forgot to lock the house? Am I sure the dog's going to get out? I've got shit when the dog's going to get out. If he's not running down the street to this other awful dog, and then it goes and goes and goes. Or are we going to choose a different thought? Are we going to choose the thought, what am I going to do for my birthday that's coming up? I'd really like to do this and this. And this, again, I cannot stop stressing about. This really determines the quality of your life. It's the thoughts you end up engaging with, and really being aware that you have a choice. This is not you. This thing that you thinks for you is not really you. It's not your true self. This is just an alarm system going off, pumping out random things all the time. Do I look fat in this? What's my hair looking like today? Oh, should have been wearing the colorful outfit. Things like that. And just all it brings up is a lot of inner fears. And there's other ways to dissolve them and work with them. But first you need to detach from this thinking and really choose wisely what we engage with. I hope this video was helpful. I think I've went on far too long and repeated myself far too many times, but please try it. Please, just for a week. For a week, say, I'm going to meditate 3 minutes a day. I went up a minute, I know. From 1 to 2 minutes to 3. Just 3 minutes and see. Let me know. Write me a comment. Say, Jana, this was shit. I regret wasting, I don't know, 21 minutes in the last week on meditation. Or let me know, what was your experience? Were you able to notice certain things? Were you able to detach? And this is what we want to do, is detach from this thinking. And then just attach to the thoughts you really like. The thoughts that lift you up. The thoughts that bring you happiness. The thoughts that are going to create a better life for you. And a brighter future. And apart from that, try and stay in the moment, because there's nothing more precious. Again, I hope you enjoyed this. I could talk about this all day. Probably ending up doing here. Thank you so much for listening, and have a lovely day. Feel free to share, comment, like. I'm very excited. I just started this channel and I did not think that I would get anybody to really watch, because there's so many videos out there. But people are engaging and they're watching, and I'm just, wow, this is amazing. So this is really what made me do a few more videos today. Thank you. Thank you so much for your lovely comments and your engagement. And I even got subscribers. Yay! So have a lovely day. And I'm going to be posting more videos soon. If you've got any requests, let me know. Thank you. Namaste.